Earlier they put some sums on the board and we have to copy it and then solve it, and like this we have to do it. But this time our ma'am explains it properly and we get many handouts. She teaches in a funny way and that we love, and we understand it very quickly and easily.
It's more interesting to work when you do more experiments and make new things.
Class 3 there was a test. They get from 25 marks they get 9, 6, and now there is a test they get full marks.
You feel quite responsible and like you have grown up.
This is Xseed class in action. Xseed was introduced here just 6 months back and has ushered in a refreshing way teachers teach and students learn.
Basic thing about Xseed, what I've liked is that sort of they give you a kind of an independence, a kind of independence to the child to really think on his own, which was not there formally. Formally we used to sort of, give them a typical textbook kind of a learning, and they had to just follow that.
So what we teach in Xseed, the way we teach, is the students themselves, they collect the information, process, use their brains on it, and themselves reflect and act, find the solutions. And such an education is long-lasting, lifelong.
What is going to happen if I drop this on the floor? Predict and raise your hands.
Ma'am, वो टूट जाएगा.
वो टूट जाएगा. Prediction हो गया. That's prediction. So can now somebody tell me what did Chaitanya predict? What is prediction? Thinking. Brilliant. Thinking about it.
Xseed came out of the insight that if you don't equip teachers to function better in the classroom every day, each and every day, you are not going to be that successful. If someone is not able to cook or does a bad job of cooking, one way is to you keep telling them all the time that you're doing a bad job, try harder, do better, do different. Another is one day you stand with them and show them how to cook a dish. Probably the most effective way is you give them a really good recipe and show it to them once, and after them let them learn on their own. Xseed works pretty much in the same way.
Xseed is a comprehensive primary and middle school program developed by a team comprising over 100 professionals from the field of education, curriculum experts, former teachers and researchers. It includes alumni from Harvard, Cambridge, Central Institute of Education and educationists from leading schools in India and abroad.
Now, after visiting about 200 schools and working there, what we find is that in a typical school, the teaching learning experience is like this. Okay? What does this mean? This basically means that there are some teachers which are doing an exceptional job, but for the most part, the experience which children get is highly variable. The quality of teaching goes up and down, and children do not get a uniform experience. With Xseed, what we are trying to do is to raise this bar to the next level. But not only raise the bar, but also reduce the variation between good teaching and bad teaching. How do you reduce that variation? You reduce it in 4 ways. First, you need to give every teacher the same tools. Next, you need the training to be able to use this tool. However, even with the best training and best tools, you will face problems. That's when the instructional leader's role comes in. We ask the school to nominate a coordinator, we train her in these techniques and also give her skills on coaching and feedback. And finally, we give the school student assessment workbooks where we can see the work of children, and the children take it home, the parents see it, it becomes easier for teacher to correct, and we get a uniform standard of quality across the whole school.
In our pilot research, we found that the improvement in student learning in an Xseed class is double of that in traditional classrooms. On closer analysis, we find that Xseed helps children do better both in recall and application-based questions. What is most interesting is that the biggest beneficiaries are the lower half of the class, where children improve as much as 63% compared to only 31% for a regular classroom.
Children will be able to deal with the regular system, they'll be able to do well on board exams, and I think the application will help them do well on things like entrance tests, which require them to think for themselves.
It takes into account children who learn fast, children who learn a little slow,
and yet there is something to do for each child.
Xseed curriculum fits in very well with any kind of curriculum that any school is following. The basic understanding is that classroom teaching has to change, and therefore we will raise the bar of learning processes in the classroom, and whatever it takes to change that, we've put into this program.
So with so many teachers, just the approach to teaching was so different before iDiscoveri came in. It was more of a duty, it was more of a responsibility, and they brought in so much more ownership, so much more empowerment, so much more creation.
It is very easily implementable, and it's very well laid out as well. The team from iDiscoveri, they come once in 3 months and they train the teachers there to use the Xseed manual, and they come and conduct a kind of review also as to how it's progressing.
I had a transformation myself after attending the CIL program, in which I felt that, see, we know everything. As teachers, we are involving our children in that learning process. You know, if they are also a part of it, maybe the learning is easier.
And because of those trainings, I think today classroom management is, an easy job for us. It doesn't matter to us, however notorious the children will be, however naughty they may be, even if they are not listening to you, but still you can get them around to know what you want to do.
As my younger son gets into 5th grade and 6th grade, I can see a different level of engagement, in things like magnetism and electricity. Those topics are no longer abstract for him. And he comes home in a tearing hurry to do something. He gets up and wants to rush to school.
My son is in grade 5, and recently they had this lesson on Rosa Parks, and he knows so much more about Rosa Parks now. From the workbook, he himself has learned so much about her, and he's answering the questions on his own. So I feel he's really learned a lot than we feeding and telling him.
He is able to analyze a particular situation, and which is always in the long run, even when you go to college, you always need to have an analytical way of thinking. You need to think beyond.
I'm learning that we should not spoil our environment. Without our environment, there will be a day only with buildings and no oxygen, and then there will be no petrol station but oxygen station.